I was in a sports store named Fanatics. I was buying a jersey, and a little kid runs in there and says it's an active shooter at Walmart. But me and the guy, we didn't pay no mind because he's just a little kid. So I walk out and I go to Foot Locker, and all I hear is ball. So I got my license to carry, and I'm in the military. So all I think is get my gun and think fast. So they closed. Foot Locker closed the cage, but some people lifted it because I guess they were so scared they wanted to make it out. So I peeled out with them, and I just followed them, and I see a whole bunch of kids just running around without their parents. So I'm just thinking about the kids, so I pick up as many as possible and carry them with me, and another guy does it as well. And I'm sorry, I'm shaking up, I can't think. But I just peeled out, and I just hope the kids make it safe, man, because it was a whole bunch of kids just running around without their parents, and I was worried about the kids more than myself.
You said you heard the shots, right?
Yeah, he did too.
Again, just tell us how this feels like.
Well, I'm in the military, so I probably feel different for me because, we're trained to, when you hear a gunshot, pull out your weapon and think fast. I'm just worried. I wasn't really worried about myself. I was worried about the kids. So I put my stuff out. I just picked up the kids and just carried them with me. Me and the other guy did. We made it through Dillard's. So I wasn't really worried about myself.
What ran through your mind when the first shots rang out? When you heard the first shots, what ran through your mind?
I'm in the military. I couldn't even tell you. It's a feeling that anybody in the military can tell you. It's a feeling that you can't explain. You know what I'm saying? Your heart just, all you think is pull out your weapon and think fast.
I'm curious, what were the kids' reactions when you were
just running around crying? They were all just running around crying, just running around, just running. And all I could think about was the kids. I think about it as if my child, if I have one, if my child was in the same predicament, what I would want somebody else to do. So I picked them up, and the other guy did as well. But it was so many kids that we couldn't pick them all up. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't go back and do what it do. But I try my best to. Me and the other guy try our best to get as many out as possible. But that's all that was. I can't really do it now.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, so y'all just heard that audio clip right there. Now, if you remember in the commentary that I did about the shooter, I mentioned that they had interviewed a guy, and I said it was a black guy that they interviewed, and then I said they interviewed somebody else. Well, it turns out the black guy they interviewed was this guy right here, whose name is Glendan Oakley, and he is currently, I believe, in the military. And he's being hailed as a hero because, as you heard right there in the audio, he risked his life saving children, him and another guy, from getting out of the path of that gunfire from that gun-toting terrorist. And I'm calling him a terrorist because they refuse to call him that. I know they ain't gonna call him that. From, the situation right here. So I definitely have to give kudos to this man. This is the third story I've done so far this week where, well, not this week, but in the last month, where a black male in particular has been a hero saving lives. And this right here was intense. And he said he's in the military, so he's trained to do stuff like this. Now, I was actually listening to a video that Seiji Hito did because he spoke about this as well. And this is a sad reality that us as black men have to be and go through in this establishment. And it almost reminds me of what happened with the whole Michael Johnson thing a few years ago, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit. And with the comparison, this guy, of course, is in the military. So he said he had his weapon on him and he's allowed to carry because he's in the military, and he's in Texas, it's an open carry state. So apparently when he was saving the kids and everything like that, the cops assumed that he was or maybe was working with the shooter. He is extremely lucky that he did not get killed by them, because they probably thought that he was the person that they were looking for, because they didn't have a full description. They just saw a guy who had a gun on him and assumed that it could have possibly been him. I don't know many people who will risk saving the lives of other people while at the same time taking the lives of other people. Now, the reason I mention that is because if we go back to 2016 in Dallas, where the whole Michael Johnson thing happened, it was two brothers who were at a protest and they had guns, open carry, no harm, no foul. But they assumed that they were the ones that were carrying out everything. Not only did they take their guns away from them, but they were also placed in police custody for like a day, until they had to release them. And to this day, I don't even think those two brothers got an apology for mistaken identity. And that too, like I said, also happened in Texas. It's to the point where black men in particular aren't even allowed to be heroes. Like, they can't possibly see us as saving other people and putting our bodies on the line ahead of somebody else's to protect them. This guy said he was in the military, so he's used to it. And I can tell by him being in the interview, by the way he was moving and everything like that, that it probably took him back to days when he may have been in a battlefield. And I can tell by the way he was moving, his posture, that it like all those memories started to come back for him in that moment. But he still had to be diligent and be the hero that he could possibly be for those kids. Because, all he kept saying was he kept thinking about the kids, thinking about the kids, thinking about the kids. He said it's almost as if he was saying, I don't care if this person kills me. I just have to make sure that the kids are safe. And that's what a hero is. They put others before themselves. It's a selfless act. It's not a selfish one. He didn't know these kids from a can of paint. They didn't know him. All he saw was this kid ran into the store he was in and spotted him and said that there's an active shooter. And he just had to do something. And this is yet another story where black men are being the hero. I love talking about stuff like this. I like when stories like this happen to come my way, or I rather so stumble upon them, like this one. And it's crazy. I talked about a black guy being interviewed, not knowing the whole time he was the guy that was saving these children. So I salute this individual, this Glendan Oakley. And a lot of people say that black people don't belong in the military. You may want to think again when you have someone like that, and when you have someone like that around, because it's because of his military training that he was able to use the tactics to save lives. Now, I'm not going to say that everyone has to have military training to save a life, because sometimes it just comes on impulse. But this guy knew what to do in those instances to save those children, because you got to think about it. He's a military trained person dealing with kids. Kids sometimes don't make the best decisions when they're in situations like that, with the exception of that Jayden Espinoza child that I just talked about, in which he had to save his family out of a burning house. But that's an anomaly. It's rare that actually happens. And he was dealing with kids, multiple kids, during a shootout. Well, not so much a shootout, but I guess you could say a terroristic act, because that's what it was. The guy was being a terrorist. They're not going to say it. I'll say it. He was being a terrorist, and he was acting very terroristic in nature. And when you're running around and hiding under things, you don't know what's going on above or below you. You just can see what's in front of you and to your sides. Whatever your eyes lock onto, that's what you see. And he had to be there with a bunch of kids of all ages. And he managed to save all of them. So to that, I salute this man. And he definitely should be acknowledged more heavily before it gets lost into lamestream media's little cauldron of whatever they got cooking up. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you in the next one. I thought I was done, but there's one last thing that I wanted to add in here, and it actually goes back to a live stream that the Angry Man just recently did, in which he read this article, which was more so of a hit piece that was on, of all websites, Madame Noir, where you had this Nigerian woman, mind you, Nigerian, she isn't even ADOS, speaking just a bunch of crap about black men. Mind you, she was talking about ADOS black men in a very, very negative tone, in which they said that black women need to stop trying to something about black women need to stop doing something for broken black men or something. It made no sense. It was a hit piece article, and when I read stuff like that, it goes into this narrative that black men are just inherently wicked and everything like that. Well, if that's the case, then this guy would have been very selfish and not had did what he did. He would just been out there trying to save himself and been like, fuck the kids, they can fend for themselves, and if they manage to get caught in the crossfire, so be it. I'm the one with the military training. I'm going to go ahead and save myself. And that would be really messed up, especially for a guy that was in the military, when you're supposed to be one is all. I forgot what the technical term for it is. It's like you move as a unit. And when I think about this situation here and what that hit piece said, it makes no sense. And then it goes also back to that other hit piece from 2 years ago by that Damon Young over at The Root, who said that black heterosexual men are the white men of the black community. As if we just are inherently are worthless. Notice who wrote those hit pieces. Sorry about that. But notice who wrote those hit pieces. An immigrant woman, a Nigerian woman, and a homosexual black man. That's all I really have to say.